If you're an American conservative, you know that the societal values we hold sacred are under attack. They are hanging in the balance. How can you protect those values? By staying informed. The Closing Argument will deliver news and supporting evidence you need to support and defend those values. Here's Paul Smith.
Good morning. This is Paul Smith, your host of Closing Argument. In these podcasts, we discuss the important but controversial moral, political, and legal issues that affect us in America today. Some of the things we discuss are not politically correct, but all of these things are important to be discussed in order for us to preserve our liberties, to establish truth, and to let the world know that there are many of us who challenge some of the traditional radical views that are gaining widespread acceptance in the world. Today, we're going to talk about the August 8th FBI raid with a search warrant on the home of Donald Trump in Mar-A-Lago, Florida. This event is unprecedented, historic, and we don't know at this point what the final outcome will be, but it raises some very, very volatile and important issues. We'll talk about how the conservatives see it and how the Democrats see it, because they are dividing the country basically in half on their views of this. Again, we don't know what the outcome of this will be at this point, but it is so historic that it is worth talking about, and we will talk about it again, I'm sure. This program is being recorded on August 11th. It was on August 8th that the raid took place. The news today is that Attorney General Garland announced that he has filed a motion to unseal the court record such that the search warrant itself and a list of items obtained could be made public. Many of the Republicans had demanded that this happen. It's not clear whether Donald Trump will be in favor of this. So that's an interesting situation. But I want to give a little background and then cover some things. First of all, the difference between a democratic republic that is operated under law and exists on the rule of law is critical in America. And while both parties give lip service to wanting to apply laws equally and the rule of law, part of the rule of law means that you apply the laws equally and you don't go out trying to find a crime to fit a person, and you don't go on a witch hunt. And as a conservative, I am very concerned that that is continuing. There is no question that it has happened for the last 4 years, basically, beginning with the claim that Trump was colluding with Russians to gain his victory over Hillary. That was totally debunked. The impeachment effort after that was debunked when he was accused of conspiring and doing illegal things with the Ukraine. And the investigation of Trump trying to find a crime for him has been frustrating to the Democrats, but they are relentless and are not giving up. And so there's a lot of indication that what's going on now with the January 6th committee is more of the same. And this raid, the Democrats don't want to call it a raid. They want to call it the execution of a search warrant. But it was a raid. And at the same time, this is very unusual. And so what will have to happen, the public is going to turn against the Democrats, Merrick Garland and FBI Director Wray, if they don't have some really bad stuff that they've found about Trump. Because if it's just dinky little laws where they're trying to get him for jaywalking or something, that's not going to cut it, because they clearly have shown a pattern of being out to get Donald Trump. The attempts to get Trump appear to be a politicization of the Department of Justice, where they are going after Trump and his supporters, whereas they are purposely not going after high-profile Democrats who have committed crimes, such as Hunter Biden, such as Hillary Clinton, and others. And if this is true, as it appears to be, it is turning America into a banana republic. This is an outrage. The Department of Justice should be politically blind to different parties, but it does not appear to be. I ought to say it stronger. They have shown political bias for the last 4 years, and it's disgusting and it's very upsetting, and something needs to be done about it. So after this raid on Trump's property on August 8th, there were immediate outcries to impeach Director Wray and to impeach Attorney General Garland, because they feel they are the head, they are the evil head that has become politicized. It's too early to know whether there's any basis for this, and it will be, who knows, maybe several weeks before we know. But again, the documents and evidence that they're looking for, they better have had some really strong, terrible evidence that they're looking for, or they are going to look bad. And it won't be enough to get Trump in a process crime. Now, the Democrats are very excited. They're joyous. They're celebrating this raid. Both the news media, and it's interesting. Some of the Democrats have avoided speaking on it. Pelosi and Schumer seem to have backed off in talking a lot about it, and I think wisely so. But the comedians and the liberal news media are really excited and happy about it. They hate Trump. They keep saying no one is above the law, and therefore we got to get Trump, and they want to put him in jail. But they're just looking for a crime for him. At this point, I haven't heard anyone articulate a crime that he's guilty of, except for the general accusation that he's guilty of insurrection, and there's no basis for that. So this seems to be the very essence of what a dictatorship and an evil dictatorship is, where it is just going after the political opponents because one's in power, and that is terrible. Another recent development from this, because many Republicans expressed outrage at this raid. In fact, Trump was not in town. Trump was in New York at the time. The Democrats now are talking about how there are now heightened threats of violence against the Justice Department, and they're looking to blame the Republicans and anyone who would voice support or outrage at these raids. So one of the things I'm concerned of is we're going to see improper arrests, unfounded arrests of people who voice support for Donald Trump in this matter. Interestingly, as I've paid attention to the January 6th committee hearings and other things that are going on, the Democrats who are after Trump try to characterize the January 6th riot as both an insurrection and one of violence. And yes, you can find some minor acts of violence, but it was certainly nothing compared to the 2020 BLM riots that caused thousands of policemen to be injured and caused billions of dollars of damage. The violence on January 6th was really minimal, and but the Democrats want to say how violent it was, and it really was not that bad. Even though I don't support them, if they violated the law, they ought to be punished according to the law. Also, this concern that I heard voiced yesterday by the Democrats is infuriating in view of the Biden administration's tolerance of people to go after the Supreme Court justices and violate the law and demonstrate at their homes, and when they're actually addressing a case that was about to be ruled upon. The Biden administration's selectiveness in whether or not to prosecute a crime and favoring the Democrats to oppose Trump and conservatives is very noticeable and very concerning to me and many others. So, yes, the law should be applied equally. There's another principle here that that actually makes going after a presidential candidate or former president different than any individual. And that is that the candidate or past president actually is a leadership figure and represents a lot of people. And in this case, Trump, about half the nation backs Trump. And so when you go after Trump for a minor crime and try to make a big deal out of that, it appears like they're just trying to find something to hurt him. And this politicization and unequal application of the law means that people who support him are also in danger. And one of the things that's happening is by doing this, the administration, and by saying yesterday that they're worried about the heightened threats against the DOJ and others, this is an attempt to chill speech and cause people not to speak up. And that concerns me. Now, we're not going to know whether this warrant will be revealed. I bet it will be. But even if it is made public, we still don't have the affidavit that goes along with it. The affidavit would be the basis for the warrant. And that's another big issue, because just the issuing of the warrant this should not be done unless there are very strong reasons for it, and unless they have exhausted other reasonable remedies, such as issuing a subpoena in order to get the information they want. The other concern that I have, and based on what I've seen in the last 4 years, the Biden administration clearly has a record of trying to get people on process crimes. That's what they tried to get Flynn on, and General Flynn, Comey admitted he sent people in there trying to trick him, to get him in trouble, and so there are concerns about perjury traps. So when that was unfolding with Flynn, I remember, it was going back 3 or 4 years ago, I remember Trump saying, well, he would be happy to testify. And my thought was, you're crazy. I would be very careful with what I say, because if you say something that turns out to be not true, next thing you know, they're going to be prosecuting you for perjury. And so I would be very concerned, because they do try to entrap people. They have a record of that. There are a couple of other things going on right now. This raid is not in a vacuum. We have a general election, including for House of Representatives seats and some Senate seats, in less than 90 days. And it's possible that this raid, doing this, may give Republicans a little bit of an advantage, unless they uncover something really bad, and then it may give the Democrats some advantage. But it also seems to be giving attention, a lot of attention on Trump. And I wonder if the Democrats did not do this to try to urge Trump to run for president and to announce his candidacy before the election, because by doing so, all of the attention will go to Trump, and it will go away from the dismal record of Biden and his administration. And the Democrats, I think, are banking on the nation, a majority of the nation, hating Trump so much that they'll forget about the terrible things the Biden administration has done. That is my take. Now, we'll see whether that comes to pass or not. But there are several other things going on, as I mentioned. One of them is the January 6th committee hearings. And I don't think there's another one scheduled, but it is going forward. And they vow at the beginning of every hearing that they're out to get Trump. And the hearings are basically a kangaroo court and a disgrace. But nevertheless, they do show that about half the nation wants to lock Trump up, and somehow they hope they find a crime that'll enable them to do it. But this is disgusting to see that. But another thing that may be in play here, the search that was conducted at Trump's property apparently was has to do with the Archive Records Act, where some document